And I'm recording now.
Okay, Patricia Bartow, Patricia Bartow, Bartow.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
And now feel free to have eye contact with me.
Sounds good. I'd rather have that.
Okay, Patty, what does it mean to be a professional in this field? Your sense of what?
Okay, wait, hold on a second. let me take a drink really quick.
See, just like you said, there's a lot of drinking.
I
know, that's a big bottle.
know. That is. I have it throughout the whole day. Sorry about that. I think a professional in this field is obviously someone who's qualified, someone who's competent, and someone who's actively involved in the field. But most importantly, I think what I've learned is it needs to be someone who has this joy, this zest, or this zest for life, for education, for what they're doing. Not always looking at things that are constructive, but really kind of sometimes feeling from within. I think that permeates throughout the center with the families, with the children, and with the community coming into your place.
Do you feel that your staff feel that they are professionals, and why?
I think they do. I think at this point, we've been together for about 11 years now.
So you think your staff?
I think my staff do feel like professionals. I have given them the opportunity to move forward and encourage them to be actively involved also. They are now mentoring. They conduct workshops and conferences. But I think most importantly, as a professional, they're now getting the respect. So I think they see that from the feedback that they receive from their own peers, that their accomplishments, becoming a mentor has been huge for them. So I think with that, they're not seen as babysitters anymore.
What do you see are the qualities of an effective leader? What is leadership to you?
I think an effective leader needs to be a good listener. I think most importantly, I think they need to be able to communicate well. What I mean by that communication is that you take the time to listen, to validate others, and to give time to reflect. I think leadership is someone who is supportive, is confident, however, will learn from their mistakes. I think leadership is, again, looking at this field and being excited about what they're doing. You need to serve as a model. So it's important to me that people are excited about what they're doing, and that makes a connection with others and hopefully inspire others too.
What does it mean to have a culture of the school? Do you have a school culture?
I believe we do. I worked really hard to develop our culture, or to nurture, not so much develop, but to nurture. And the culture of our school is really common beliefs that we have. And I think that's where we start, is with the foundation. And early on, we had to make sure that everyone knew what was the common purpose of us being here. And so that right away connected our staff. And so we knew that we were here because we all valued children. From there, we have learned through experiences, been on a journey, learned throughout, meeting with other people and what have you. But the culture has developed into a place where it's respectful, where you can share your perspective, but your perspective doesn't necessarily need to be the truth, but you're listened to, and it's done in a way where it's not hurtful. And at the end of the day, that we're all brought back together, and again, for our common value, which is for the best interests of the children.
So when you foster the communication among your staff,
Mm-hmm.
can you think back to when you started about how you started to develop that? So now it seems like your program is one where people feel that they can openly communicate with one another. But I want you to think back to when you first started being the leader in the center, how did you develop that process specifically?
Okay. I developed the process of communication. It probably began in my first day at the center. I was able to identify that there was a lot of animosity, there was a lot of conflict. So the first thing I did was meet with my staff individually, and then we met as a group. And I used our mission statement as our template for decision making. And so again, there was a clear understanding of why we were here. We also revisited our job description to make sure they knew this is the purpose of you being here, and this is the expectation of the college and the direction we're going. So you need to make a decision of, if you're on this journey with us. And that's really how I really started to develop that framework. From there, we develop a process, not a policy, but a process of how we communicate. And it started with me. If you have an issue, you need to come with a solution, and it needs to be at the lowest level. So if you have an issue with a staff member, you need to go to them, not to me. And you need to, again, it needs to be respectful in a supportive way. But at the beginning, all of my staff needed to hear the same message. I needed to bring them together, and we needed to really kind of work through that. So the process, again, would be that they work with each other at the lowest level. We have a head teacher that also supports that and works as a mentor. So if there's a next level of support, then the teacher would step in, the head teacher. And then again, if it continues from there, then it would go to myself. At that point, I would help mediate. I would ask questions of accountability, and again, asking for solutions. I'm not going to solve all of the problems. So what happens from there, it's no different in the same method that we use with children. So we want to problem solve, we want to redirect, we want, it doesn't always have to be autonomous, but we just want to have a common understanding and to be able to move forward.
How do you provide support for ongoing adult learning and coaching for your staff?
I provide support for ongoing learning and staff. I'd like to say first that it starts with me. I feel that I need to serve as a model, that I am involved and I'm continuing either my education or attending workshops and conferences. From there, I provide an opportunity for staff to have an environment where they are motivated and they want to go back. It's not a forced, decision. In doing that, again, I think you have to start from the basics to have clear expectations. They understand the purpose of being here. But through their evaluations also and monthly meetings that we have, I really try to give that encouragement for them to want to continue attending conferences or what have you. And then I try to identify those strengths in those staff members. From there, bringing everything back and discussing it as a group. Again, sharing it with our families and then sharing it with our faculty.
Can you talk about your collaboration with other directors in your community and some of the successes and some of the areas that you wish to improve on?
Sure. In the South Bay community, it's been very difficult for me to put together a group for support or for connections. I teach here at the college. I teach an administration course, so it's been an opportunity for me to meet other directors, but not necessarily a formed group. So that's been a real challenge. From my perspective, I feel that they are inundated, they feel overwhelmed, probably working at and this is not a put down, but working at an administrative level just because of the responsibility. And I feel as a mentor, I'd like to step in and support that, get them out of that role, hopefully move them to a leadership role. I want them to gain some vision and to see that things don't have to be so, you don't have to function in a crisis mode every day. And unfortunately, that's what I hear. I hear that in class, and then I hear that when I have tours or workshops here at the center. But that's a goal of mine, and it's my fault too. I haven't actively pursued that to get them back together.
You talked about directors working at kind of this administrative level. So how do you define the distinction between leadership and administrator? Because many times people think administrator, director, you are the leader.
Mm-hmm. I talk a lot. I think early on, from my own experience, I think early on in the field, I was an administrator. I was a manager. And because that's your expectation. You have to be in charge. You have to make all the decisions. And that is a recipe for quick burnout. And that's why we have a high turnover, high burnout with administrators, typically within the first 3 years. You're just in crisis. You're in survival mode. Being able to cross over to a leadership role, I think, takes time. And it takes time to develop your staff. And that's typically where I begin. But again, getting back to specifically of the leadership role, you just need time to reflect and to think and to create vision, to dream. What do I want to do here? Am I still excited about what I'm doing? Because if you're not, you shouldn't be here. You should not work with children if you can't come to work and smile and laugh every day. Children deserve to see you smile every single day.
Does anybody have anything that they want to add in terms of